Okay, in this section we're going to look at how to name muscles. A lot of this stuff will help you for when we get into the gross anatomy. Okay, origin is the attachment of the muscle to the immovable or less moving bone. Insertion is muscle attachment to the bone that does the most moving. So when a muscle contracts, it moves toward the origin. In this example, this looks like the brachioradialis muscle. And when it contracts, it goes from, in this example, it's going from this position toward origin. So this is the fixed part, okay, and this is the moving part. So this would be origin because this bone is not going to be moving. This is insertion because this is the bone that will be doing the moving. Okay, so when you're there's going to be some test questions on origin, insertion, action, neurological innervation, things like that, and the gross anatomy of and the name of the muscle itself. So one way to really visualize this is, as you're learning these muscles, just keep in mind which part is doing the most moving. That will be insertion, and the other spot will be the origin. Okay, we also name muscles based on their direction. Some muscles are named because they run straight up and down, like rectus or rectus abdominis, rectus femoris. Some muscles run diagonally. Fancy word for that is oblique. So then they'll give it an oblique name, like external abdominal obliques. They'll name it after the size of the muscle. Big is maximus, small would be minimus, medium would be medius. Some muscles are very long, like longus, and there's more. We'll get into those when we start naming some of the muscles, but like minimus, for example, extensor digiti minimi, so very small muscle, like minimi. And muscles are also named after location. So some muscles are named after the bones that they are near or on, like the temporalis muscle. The temporal bone is a cranial bone. And there's a muscle that attaches on it that goes down to the jaw, called the temporalis muscle, named after a bony location. Some muscles are named after the number of muscle heads that they have. Biceps, like bias 2, tricep, trias 3, quadricep, quadus 4. So we're dealing with 4 muscle bellies there. And then some muscles are named after their attachment site, where they insert. The SCM, or sternocleidomastoid, SCM, is named after the bone that muscle is attached to. So there's the sternum part, sterno, clavicle, mastoid process. Sternum, clavicle, mastoid process. Okay. Some muscles are named after their shape. So the deltoid, rhomboid, trapezius muscle, and some muscles are named after the action that they perform. Is it a flexor muscle, extensor, adductor, abductor, and so on? An erector muscle, like your erector spinae group. So some muscles are named after their action. Okay, the muscle fiber orientation can be circular. So as you're seeing here, circular, like orbicularis oris, which is a circle muscle around your mouth. Convergent, So the fascicles converge toward the tendon. Okay, they're all converging toward the tendon. Parallel. So the fibers run parallel along the long axis of the muscle. The sartorius is a good example. A fusiform. That one is spindle shape, and it has an expanded belly, and it's kind of a modified or fancier type of a parallel muscle. But a bicep brachii is a good example of that. Pinnate means feather-like. So these short fascicles attach obliquely to the central tendon. So if you look at a feather, that bony hollow bone in the middle of the feather has so like here's the bone part, right? If you hold a bird feather, and then you can see on one side, and I'll change the contrast here just to make it a little bit easier if I can. And I guess I can't, so we'll just do it this way. Okay, so there's your pinnate, so feather-like. Anyway, we have unipinnate, so the fascicles run to one side, like this. Bipinnate, fascicles run to both sides, like that. Rectus femoris is an example of that. And then multipinnate, fascicles